Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's March the 20th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by Izubee Charles and our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And, man, we're still reeling from the news of yesterday, to be honest with everybody. You get up in the morning, you tape the show, you get in the car, you go on to practice. Looking forward to just seeing how everybody's doing out there. And you walk through the door and it's like, oh my God, there's all this news like breaking all around you. And so we walk in yesterday morning and the first thing we see is that Henry Parish, the running back, is no longer on the Miami roster. So I thought we would talk about that a little bit today among a whole litany of topics I have here. So we'll fasten our seatbelts. But guys, Henry Parish, nobody saw this coming at all. I mean, he was going to be clearly a rotation guy this year, but I think Henry Parish started to see, Chris Johnson in practice doing pretty well. He knows that Jordan Lyle is coming in as one of the top running back recruits in the country. Mark Fletcher is always still there. He's looking at Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, doing some decent things as a freshman. He's looking at Elijah Lofton. What's that nickname you got for Elijah Lofton that you were throwing around?
He's like a bull in a china shop.
Bull in a china shop. Yeah, that's what it was. Boy, he really does. Wow. Does he look great so far in practice? So I think Henry Parish, Izubee, is seeing all this going on around him and said, you know what? This is my last year. This is it for me. I want to play in the National Football League. I need reps to show what I can do. And we found out that he's probably headed back to Ole Miss. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, kind of like you mentioned, I feel like with Henry Parish, these last 2 years, he hasn't been, the star that, everyone wanted him to be, the 1,000-yard rusher. He's been a guy that's, got the job done. And, like you mentioned, that backfield's looking a little bit crowded. And, going into what is his last year of college football, I don't think you want to be in a running back by committee situation when you're trying to, establish yourself to, hey, I'm a guy that can play at that next level. So I feel like that was the best move for him. And I feel like Miami's not, pulling out their hair, saying, the world's falling apart. We lost Henry Parish. Like you mentioned, they've got a ton of guys in that backfield. They got Chris Johnson Jr., who I think is going to have a pretty good year this year. You got Mark Fletcher coming back from injury. You got Jordan Lyle coming in. You got A.J. Allen. You got the bull in the china shop, Elijah Lofton, that you can throw back there if you need some, powerful yards and things like that. So I was surprised hearing that news yesterday morning, but I'm not, saying it's over for the Miami backfield. They're going to have to completely reset everything. There's a lot of guys in that room right now. And like you mentioned, Jordan Lyle coming in, that I think Miami would be, more than good without Henry Parish in that backfield.
And Matt, in case, anybody out there is about to jump off a ledge over this news, which I don't think would be the case, but we got to remember, and this is a favorite topic of yours, of course, you've warned against this for a long time. Miami's going to needs to lose some guys, and it's not all going to be guys at the end of the bench. I mean, when you're talking about 12, 13, 14, 15 possible roster cuts that are going to be upon Mario Cristobal here, as he has to make the 85 scholarship limit after spring practice before next season. It's going to be some guys like Henry Parish, who are good players, who are going to be casualties of the whole process. So, Henry Parish walks into Mario's office, says, Coach, I think I want to leave. It's too crowded here at running back. We got too many guys. I'm not going to get to showcase myself. I'm not sure Mario probably did a whole heck of a lot to talk him out of it, Matt.
I think someone's getting attacked by a dog, but isn't Kevin Smith the running backs coach at Ole Miss again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't think. Look, you can say, oh, it's not the end of the world, whatever. I don't think Miami wanted Henry to leave. I think they're annoyed that he left. But by the same token, Henry was beaten out for the starting job last year. He's always been a guy who had to share carries at Miami. And all you have to do is promise a guy something, I mean, this is it for him, right? He's got to sort of put up or shut up, so to speak, and have a really great year. And he was not going to be a featured back at Miami. Like, he just wasn't. He was going to be a guy who got 10, maybe 15 carries a game. If indeed, Mark Fletcher, I'll believe it when I see it that he's back for game 1, like Mario basically said yesterday. But like, if Mark Fletcher's healthy, I don't even think that Henry Parish is getting 10 carries a game. Like, why would you put a guy who's not your best back on the field for that many carries, especially when you have a home run hitter like Chris Johnson? I mean, Henry Parish isn't as fast as Chris Johnson. He's not as strong as Mark Fletcher. He's just like an in-between guy who can do a little bit of everything really well. And he's a good back. Don't get me wrong, like, he's a good back. But and just to give everyone a sense of how screwed up things are at Miami, I mean, look, we talked to other reporters. So there's a reporter, we're allowed to do these video sessions for usually the first, 4 periods, was it? Where we can shoot video the first 4 periods, which I think equates to about 35 seconds of film. No, it's about 25 minutes of film, which is great. But one poor reporter videoed something he wasn't supposed to, got in trouble, and then and then yesterday at practice we're told, like, you can only tape the first 2 sessions, which is 2 periods, which is basically ball control. And the second session, the quarterbacks aren't even in the IPF. They run out on the field where, God forbid we went out there. We're banned from the actual outside of the IPF because the sun's rays are deadly to reporters, but they're okay for football players, which is good for the football players.
I'm starting to think some of these guys don't want to be allowed to practice, Matt, because the rules are not so hard to follow. I mean, we're asked to do some basic things. They don't want us reporting on injuries. There's times they don't want us to report on certain other things. But it's a really minor trade-off for being allowed to be out there for 7 periods like we are. And it really helps us see a lot and get some perspective on who's developing and who's not and things like that. And then, like, it seems like almost every day there's somebody who's like in your facing the rules. And I wish they would follow them because we like being at practice. And, I think it's helpful to all the fans because we're allowed to give them some better perspective on things. And I don't think the rules that they're setting are so unreasonable. So hopefully that will change here as we go forward in spring practice, because it really stunk that we were only allowed to film 2 periods, quite honestly, in practice, because we want to show you guys the video. Like, they're penalizing you guys at the end of the day out there who are watching, because we want to be able to shoot video to put up for you guys to see. So hopefully that'll change. But so Matt, the cuts are coming. I don't think that Henry Parish got a big sales job from Mario Cristobal in terms of staying. I think in some ways he made it easy. I think Miami always was planning to take at least one running back in the portal anyway. Now, we did get to spend some time talking to Mario yesterday, and one of the things that came up was Mark Fletcher's injury situation, and Mario was very optimistic about the timeline, and I was kind of surprised by that because everything I've been hearing about the timeline was suggesting that Mark Fletcher was not going to make it back for the start of the season. Well, I mean, Mario was suggesting he'll be back, going full bore in time for training camp. I don't know if it'll play out that way or not, but Matt, he seemed pretty convincing in that prognosis for Mark Fletcher, and talking about when he might be available and that he could make the start of the season.
Well, I'm going to pick up where I left off before you interrupted and talked for 10 minutes. So this is a microcosm of like what Miami has become, which is unfortunate. So as we're walking into the IPF, and by we, I mean everyone who's a reporter except for Gary, who got stuck in 2 hours and 15 minutes of traffic, he claims. I saw him at Hooters on a surveillance video afterwards, so I don't think it's true. But regardless, as we're walking into the IPF, the Miami Sports Information director of football, I'll call him director again. Why not? Make him happy. Was handing out rosters. And as I'm walking in, being the intrepid reporter I am, I said, listen, you give me a roster every day. I still have those rosters. Like, is there a change to this roster? And he says, there's a new player at 21 or something like that, which is Henry Parish's number. There's a new 21 or something. And like, that's the only way, like, until reporters got in that building, I didn't see it reported anywhere that Henry was leaving. I think it was a relatively recent development, but certainly the sports information guy knew it. Now, in a normal world, the player's leaving. The program knows they're going to be saying he's leaving. The program knows the reporters are coming into the IPF. We'll see that he's not there. Why can't they just send out a release like a normal organization would? Like, that's what I don't. That's why I don't understand. And then you're controlling. Then you're controlling the narrative. Henry, You can even put a quote from Henry Parish in there explaining it, because now everyone from the outside looking in, it looks like Henry Parish just didn't like being on Miami Hurricane, wasn't brought into the program for whatever reason, and that it was his decision to leave, not a Miami thing. Like, he's just saying, this is not for me, because he left in the middle of spring practice. Like, who does that? He can't transfer to Ole Miss and enroll right now. He could continue to work to get better at his craft for another month at Miami. And then we'll go into the portal like everybody else. But he was so fed up with whatever's going on at Miami that he's like, screw this. I'm stopping now. This is a waste of my time. This is a joke. That's what it looks like from the outside. And that's what Miami let be the perception, instead of putting out a release and maybe a statement from Mario about it, maybe a statement from the player about it, explaining, hey, I want to just go back and join Kevin Smith. He's always been my coach. He coached me at Miami. We have a great bond from when he was, he's a Miami guy, Kevin Smith. Whatever. Like, you spin it. That's what media relations people are supposed to do. It's like a joke. And I just, I want Miami to be a professional organization again. It used to be, they would literally pride themselves on, they'd say, we are the only organization in college football that's like the NFL. They had an open locker room like the NFL. They handled media requests like the NFL did. They did one-on-one interviews for media organizations. Like, everything was professional NFL. Now it's like, code 21 has changed on the roster. Don't say anything about anybody missing at practice, everybody. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? It's just, it's a joke.
If you want to be out there,
I hope the football team is different than how they handle the media now, because the media side, and Gary, because you actually handle media for some events, or like, it's amateur. It's amateur, and I'm praying that this is not going to be like sucked into the football program somehow. Which, of course, it's it's totally separate. But like, the people who are telling the sports information people what to do with us as reporters are the same people who are in the offices every day. Like, they're the ones dictating this. They're the ones telling the sports information director, here's who they can talk to. Here's what the policy is tomorrow. Da, da, da. Like, this isn't just coming where the sports information guy is like, hey, guys, here's what I decided today. This is coming from within the building, from the people who are in the administration of the football program. So, like, if they're doing amateur stuff like this to us, I don't know how they manage the rest of the roster, because we can't see it. But it's a little concerning to me. And I know fans out there on YouTube channel will be like, oh, he's whining. He's just complaining about the media. Who cares about the media? Screw the media, Everyone hates CNN. Everyone hates Fox News. We're not CNN or Fox News. We're sports reporters. We want to bring you guys the news, the accurate news, the video of what's happening, the hard work the players are putting in. God forbid we do that.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me, when we're not going to belabor this, I don't like all the rule breaking, because that trickles down. And people breaking rules, now it trickles down to us. We're only allowed to film 2 periods today instead of 4. Well, that cuts in half the amount of video we're able to bring you guys. So hopefully this all gets cleaned up. But one of the other great investigations that came out of yesterday's practice was Robbie Washington, who really, like, I don't know, Izubee, that he ever really was going to play at wide receiver. When you look at the other guys that are at that position, the guys that they're continuing to bring in, I mean, he's just not as good as Nikar or JoJo Trader, or, and every year, if that's the kind of guys they're bringing in, Robbie Washington's never going to play at a wide receiver position. So I think it was a godsend for him that they moved them to cornerback. And I was watching him, with absolutely no reps at all anytime recently. I guess he played a little bit in high school, but he didn't look too bad, Izubee. He looks like he's got potential as a DB.
Yeah, Robbie Washington, from what we saw yesterday, I was like, okay, because obviously the players in the offense wear the white jerseys and the defenders wear the orange jerseys. We see him kind of break off and go with the cornerbacks. So I'm like, all right, Coach Jackson's coaching up a little bit. Everybody's, clapping him up. And then he gets to the one-on-ones, and the last rep that we saw yesterday was him kind of, shutting down Jacoby George, and everyone kind of, lifting him up and parading him around. So it was pretty cool to see that. And like you mentioned, that wide receiver room is very, very deep. And, with guys like you mentioned, JoJo Trader, showing out and, showing what he can possibly be from the jump. Nykar, good guy. Ray Joseph, taking those next steps. And then we've got Jacoby George. We've got Isaiah Horton. We've got Xavier Strepo. Those reps were hard to come by. You go to the defensive side of the ball, cornerback, that was a position of need. And you love to see a guy like Robbie Washington that could have went to a lot of places across the country, play wide receiver, say, hey, I want to take on this new challenge and play cornerback. Mario kind of talked about it a little bit. He's putting the team first in this situation because this day and age, a guy's not getting reps at a certain position. I'm in the portal. Screw this team. Forget about it. Guy like Robbie Washington, hey, I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I'm going to earn my reps. And that's just something you love to see and something that speaks a lot about kind of the type of player he is and the type of culture kind of Mario's, instilling in these guys, saying, hey, if I can't get it here, I'll get it at another position and help out the team any way I can. So I feel like it's a win-win for the DBs, for Robbie, and for, everyone in that organization right now with him kind of testing out the waters at cornerback.
Yeah, guy you just mentioned, Robbie, not Robbie, Ray Joseph. We're seeing some real improvement out of him this spring. And, last year's, his first year at Miami was a total washout, didn't really do much, was overmatched as a receiver. He clearly has been working on his craft. I think his get off at the line of scrimmage looks significantly improved. Izubee, his route running looks significantly improved. I have no reservations in saying that it looks to me like Ray Joseph is going to be on the field this fall, making a contribution to this offense.
Yeah, 100%. I spoke with someone that was kind of, close around the program, associated with the program, and they said compared to last year to this year, Ray's route running is like day and night. In high school, not knocking any high school coaches, they really don't teach, the fundamentals and the nitty gritty of, route running and things like that. Usually in high school, you have a fast guy, you send him on a go route, you send him on a slant, you send him on a single post, not breaking down, routes and the right steps and the right foot placement, things like that. And a lot of people around the program are really, really, happy to see Ray kind of, like you said, put in that extra work, kind of honing his craft, route running, and it's paying off. We're seeing him in the one-on-ones create separation, dusting past guys, catching big catches, making contested catches in the middle of the field and all that good stuff. So I think Ray really could, be a guy that kind of stepped up a little bit more than he did last year because, we all had high expectations for him, but I feel like he can kind of deliver that a little bit more with that second year of experience under his belt.
You better be careful. You realize what you just did, right? You just criticized the coaching at Edison, okay? Luther Campbell's going to write a song about you, Izubee. You better be careful, okay? and I'm not going to sit here and speculate what the name of the song might be. But you're right. He probably didn't get the same level of coaching at Edison as he's getting at Miami right now. And you could see the improvement from year 1 to year 2 with him. And quite honestly, you could see it with a lot of guys out there on the practice field. I mean, this is starting to look like a little bit of a better football team. And the quarterback play is significantly better. We talked about the running backs and how they're developing, what's going to be coming in. Receivers are getting deeper. JoJo Trader looks incredible. I mean,
every day it's another. Just did you see that catch from JoJo? Did you see this from JoJo? Even yesterday, I had to walk over to Gary and was like, "Did you just see this catch he made?" Gary's like, "It's every day."
I mean, his route running for a true freshman, 3 practices in, now the 4 practice in, is unbelievable. I mean, his get off at the line of scrimmage, he's got great feet. I'm not sure he doesn't have burning speed. That's not his game. But as a possession receiver, a guy who gets open, he's starting to remind me. I hesitate to throw this out so early in his career, but he looks a lot to me like a young Reggie Wayne in just how he's operating out there on the practice field. I think he's going to play as a true freshman. Nykar looks to us, right, Izubee, like he's getting better every single day. And so things are looking up for the Miami passing game. And the guy that looks absolutely unbelievable is Xavier Strepo. Everyone was worried, oh my God, Tyler Van Dyke's gone. He's not going to be feeding the ball to Restrepo all the time. Restrepo looks unbelievable. And with Cam Ward throwing the ball to him, looks every bit as good as he did with Tyler Van Dyke throwing it to him. I'll tell you that. And so I think there's a lot to look forward to there. Poor Mish Powell, man. If somebody decided that Mish Powell, every practice, every rep was going to be the guy manning up on Restrepo. And I imagine there's kind of like a dual agenda there. Like they want Restrepo to have to go against somebody good, that'll push them, and vice versa. Like they want Mish Powell to be a big part of this defense this fall, and so it's best against best. Really when those guys are going at it, and it's fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch. I hope these people that keep breaking the rules don't get us kicked off the practice field, because we are having a great time watching things like that. And it's really given us, great insight into just what the defense and offense are going to be like in the fall. So that's been a nice little subplot. Another subplot of the spring has been the long injury list, and it's a negative. It's an absolute negative, which means it's the perfect subject for Matt Shodell to opine on, which he does this morning, where he writes about how, he writes about the injuries, but in fairness, and he is obviously Mr. Negativity most of the time, but he does feel, Matt, and I'm going to give you the floor on this to explain, but you think there's a silver lining to all of these injuries that Miami's battling right now. And, Ruben Bain was the latest. He missed practice yesterday, and, a whole lineup of guys are nicked up, Nigel E. Kelly, on and on and on and on. And you see a silver lining, Matt, so explain that one to us.
I mean, it's nothing earth-shattering. It's just, if guys out, other guys get to step up and show what they can do. With different players next to them. First, second teams can be first teamers, et cetera, et cetera. I think didn't we already talk about this on the show? I think we already did, but yeah, we don't need to belabor it. It's pretty obvious. It's just, this time of year, not a big deal to have guys out and get other guys experience because they need depth behind them. But yeah, we did a whole show on this already, Gary.
I know, but the story's on the website this morning, and we are here to talk about the news of the day. So I figured I would just bring it up and let you say a few words about it, but you don't have a lot to say, so we'll move on. All right. So I have another really cool topic to bring up here. Izubee, I know you're going to like this one. This kid is really cool, and we met him like up close and got a chance to talk to him for an extended period of time for the first time. And that's Marley Cook, the defensive tackle from Middle Tennessee. This kid, man, he is old school. He's got a little country in him, and he's been a power lifter for his whole youth. And man, he just came in and he just decided that I am going to show my teammates what I'm all about. And during workouts leading up to the spring, they decide to throw 705 pounds on the weights and ask him to squat it, and he did it. And he told us he's never going to try it again. It's a lot. He'll probably stay in that 650 range like everybody else. But a guy that is just an incredibly strong, powerful looking kid. He's not that big. So we'll have to see how that translates. With all respects to Middle Tennessee, and I know they beat the crap out of the Hurricanes a few years ago. Yeah, we're all still humiliated about that. But this is going to be a little higher level of football that he's going to be playing here at Miami week in and week out. And it'll be interesting to see how he holds up. But Izubee, got to be impressed. Yeah, with his guns, man. He clearly is a very strong dude.
Yeah, Marley Cook, the mighty mouse that could. Like you mentioned, not the biggest guy, but not too many guys I know or have heard that squat 705 pounds. And I think the most surprising thing that he said throughout that whole little media press conference was he said he squatted 705 pounds in high school at a weightlifting meet. And I was like, in high school, you're squatting 705 pounds? That's just mind-blowing to me. And, he's, like you mentioned, he's got that kind of Southern swagger to him, a little bit of an accent coming from Middle Tennessee State. And he mentioned, when I look back at it now, I could have never imagined, myself playing at Miami. He's like, I was on spring break here. I saw my, snap memories. Now I'm playing at the school. So just seems like a guy that's happy to be in Miami. He said he watched, the Hurricanes during the second half of the season last year and saw something in the team. Mentioned now he's like, they just need some leaders. There's a lot of young guys with potential. And, now he's coming into the locker room and, showing these guys, firsthand, hey, I'm working. I want you guys to work alongside me. Let's do something special here at Miami. So Marley Cook is a guy, that I'm excited to see on and off the field this year at Miami. Kind of just see what kind of things that he can bring to this locker room, which I think will all be positive. After having some FaceTime with him yesterday and kind of getting to know him a little bit more.
And I thought C.J. Clark was very impressive as well. So a couple nice newcomers on the defensive line from Miami. We also had a chance to speak to Jared Harrison-Hunt. And he's pretty mellow guy compared to the others. But this is a big year for him, his final year of college football. And, he obviously is under the gun a little bit to show out. All right, so practice resumes, continuation of a whole lineup of recruits coming through, and Izubee and Steven and holding camp out there, talking to all these kids. And, we've got a steady stream of stories popping onto the website. I'm not going to talk about every single one of them this morning. But Izubee, just your continued impressions as you talk to more and more of these guys. Yesterday you had a chance to spend a little time with Cornell Farrakhan Jr. He's a 4-star wide receiver. Among some other ones, you spoke to a top 125 safety, Jadon Blair. Just your continued impressions of these recruits that are coming through practice.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to say first off is I just love how many guys Miami's getting through the door. Whether it's taking advantage of a kid being on spring break in Miami, just having him in a practice, or having a guy that they've been recruiting for a while come in for the first time for a visit to take into practice. But speaking about those two guys that you mentioned, Jadon Blair and Cornell Farrakhan, those two guys are top 250 guys in the country, out-of-state guys that have a lot of interest in Miami. And with Farrakhan, it was his second time in Miami since January. He got to see Coach Kevin Beard work the receivers and said, just seeing him with those guys and how they've developed and all that good stuff has really piqued his interest in the program, and reason why he came back to Miami, wanted to get on campus, even if it was for a couple hours today. So the coaching staff, I feel like even with the changes, with Coach Jackson coming in, with Coach Merritt coming in, these guys haven't, lost a step with a lot of these guys that they're recruiting. And I have to give a major, major props to Mario Cristobal for that, being so involved in the recruitment of a lot of these guys that even if there's a position, a change at the coaching position, that relationship with Miami doesn't really change because Coach Cristobal is so heavily involved. But I'm really loving what I'm seeing with recruiting wise. They're getting the guys down here that, you need to build a strong program. And I'm excited who they bring in the next coming days or the next coming weeks, because I spoke with some personnel, on the staff, and they feel like they have some heavy hitters coming in this weekend and, every Saturday throughout the rest of the spring. So going to be a lot of good stuff to, read and have our eyes on for the next couple of weeks.
Yep. All right, so make sure you guys check all that out. We're pounding you with it all day, every day. Just a ton of recruiting action going on right now. The signing day is being moved up to June, so you're going to see this 2025 recruiting stampede is going to be a little bit different than what we're used to. Where it would be now till December. Now you're going to see a lot. Most of these kids are going to be signing in June this year, so it's going to be happening pretty quick here. So we will be on it, and just stay tuned to CaneSport.com all day long. If you like this show, like this channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons. If you're on YouTube, it helps us grow the audience. If you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please head on over to the website. Come join our community of fans. You can read all the great stuff that our staff is producing for you guys every single day to try to enhance your fan experience. But that's going to do it for this morning. For Good Morning CaneSport, for Izubee Charles and Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you guys so much for starting out your day with us, and we'll see you next time.